Looks good. He was.
Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Spartan Ultra Training program here that I have going on. And it's finally getting nicer outside. We have grass showing. Well, yesterday we had grass showing. We now have like a foot of snow coming in again. Woo, yay that. So I finally decided to go outside and actually do something OCR related, off course related here. So my main goal today was going to have the overhead obstacles, the monkey bars, the beater, twister, multi-rig, stuff like that, how to conquer those things with as little energy as possible going through. And I drove around yesterday and lo and behold, I discovered a little setback. Growing up, if we had any kind of playgrounds whatsoever, one of the mainstays on these playgrounds is always like the monkey bar. You have like a tower of like things over here, a little tower of things there. There's always be a thing of the monkey bars going across. Apparently it doesn't exist anymore. I drove to all the different kind of playgrounds and stuff around me. I figured it was too cold for kids to be out, which was great because it was true. And well, monkey bars don't exist on any of the playgrounds near me anymore, so this is going to be a little bit more of an abridged version than I kind of hope to get in today. And then I need to lead into, we're going to make some changes on my training plan coming up, not because of the snow thing coming in again, but I have some personal things that I need to get out over that are going to affect me going forward. May or may not mean anything for you, but there are going to be some changes coming up. But first, just to get a quick overview on the monkey bar stuff. As you saw in that opening video, it can be done really quick. If you do everything correctly, it's going to be done, or at least if you do it the safe version that I saw in that video there, it's going to be done within 15 seconds. So figure any kind of time saves you can put on top of that, you're going to be taking off of a 15-second, say, window of doing this if you want to do it the safe way, which again, if you're doing a sprint or super or something, you can try to blast through and do things a different strategy for those. But the goal in, say, a beast or an ultra, especially an ultra, is you want to use as little energy as possible when going over these obstacles to save your arms and save your body for future endeavors that are coming through. Again, we have over 30 miles of course we need to cover over here. We want to save as much energy as we can. And for that, we really have two aspects we're going to be using. Again, this would be great if I had a visual and I could actually go to a playground and do this, but it is what it is. You're going to get the abridged version. So one thing is we're going to use gravity to our advantage. I'm doing this. And the other is we're going to use momentum to generate our force going forward. We want to use as little muscle as possible going forward. So we want to use momentum and gravity to our advantage as we can. So we're just going to go once back over the same video again, and you're going to see I'm always going to have a hand on one bar, let go on the back, swing over, and as we're swinging to grab the front bar, we're then going to move the other hand forward to then grab the one in front. So momentum, so gravity is always kind of pulling us down when we let go with our backhand, and we're going to use momentum then to help carry us through to the next bar. So one more time. Let go with the back, and then swing switch back. Let go with the back, and then swing switch back. We're never muscling through. We're just letting gravity and momentum do all the work for us. The only thing we need to worry about.
He was.
Yeah, the only thing we need to worry about is the grip strength, which is why I keep saying the upper body things, the main aspect to do is, like I said, those push-ups, pull-ups, dead hangs, and the farmer's carries. Yeah, this is what your dead hangs are going to do. Dead hangs are going to get you through these types of obstacles because you really don't need to use any other strength aspect to do these. You're always it's just your grip, and you're letting gravity and momentum do the rest. That said, if you ever want to stop on a bar, sometimes as you're going, you generally kind of swinging forward, swinging back, but every now and again get a little bit of a side swing. If you ever need to steady yourself, one thing you're going to see people on the course doing is they're going to stop with both hands on one bar and then try to re-go again from there. And what happens is once you stop with both hands on one bar, you're stuck. You've lost momentum. Gravity is now against you. You lost momentum. You now swing your legs, generate more momentum to kind of get forward to grab the next one. And that's going to use up more energy. It's going to take up more time holding on the bar. Especially, this is going to be a big, big, big problem if you're doing beater. Because those, at least the first couple of years they put beater out, it seems to have toned down the last couple of years. But I know the first couple, those bars were far away. And if you ever stopped with both hands on one, you were just done. It was game over, man. So if ever you do need to stop on a bar, stop with both hands on separate bars so that when you finally go and let go with your back one, you can now use momentum again to regenerate the force to get through without having to muscle your way through and just kind of make it. That said, this works on, you can see it works on monkey bars, it works on like beater doing that way. It's also going to work kind of on the multi-rig. Multi-rig, again, the rings are going to be too far apart to kind of hold like that, but that you're always going to have. I tend to go from back ring to both hands together, then instantly as you swing, you can go to the next one over. So you're always using momentum as you go. And usually the transfer from the ring to the bar, kind of on the first portion, sometimes you need to go and do a little bit of a pull-up to get high enough to reach that bar. Because momentum, sometimes, depending how they lay that one out, I've seen the bar be very high before. And sometimes you need to give yourself a little extra. And then if you miss, come back, re-grab the ring behind you, pull over, and regenerate your momentum to then kind of go again. Always try to work with momentum on this. Twister is slightly different. Again, you can have the 3 different methods, one hand in front, one on the other, one on the other. You can do the backwards method, which a lot of people find really easy. I don't like that way because, again, I paint ceilings a lot at work. I do the home remodeling. So if I'm doing stuff like that, that tends to hurt my back after a while. I was leaning back and doing this. So for me, that's extremely uncomfortable, but it seems to work for a lot of people. I tend to go side to side. And if you do that, never, again, if you're going to stop on that, never stop with one hand on one kind of ring and the next one on the very next ring. What you want to do if you want to stop and kind of re-situate yourself, stop with one hand on one ring, skip one, and have your next one 2 rings over, or 2 kind of grips over. So again, when you let go with your back hand, you can then use gravity to bring you down to then kind of continue going. Never stop on these things in any kind of position where gravity is going to let you down and you're going to lose your momentum. Because trying to gain momentum is just going to take more energy and it's going to take more time that you're going to need to be holding on here and using your grip to get forward. And we're going to use as little energy as possible. Now, there is one slight exception to this. And again, as we're holding on, we're just dead hanging this thing. We're not pulling up. We're not putting pressure on the body. We're strictly just hanging there, and that's it. The only one I can say is kind of an exception, which is kind of overhead, kind of not, is I'm going to say the Tyrolean traverse, where if you have that wire going across, you're kind of skimming through, which unfortunately I have no video images of myself on that one. That one's always been kind of put in the backwoods where no one could ever see it, and I haven't run with a camera before because I'm always in the competitive grade group, so that kind of competitive group, where that one you don't want to be hanging with the arms straight going through. That's the one where you actually do want to have your arms always kind of that 90-degree angle as you're going. Because if you do kind of just hang from the bottom of that with arms extended, there is no momentum in that obstacle. So you're going to have an impossible time. It's going to take a lot of effort then to reach forward to kind of move your arms across. So that one you always do want to have your arms together. And the goal on that one is just beast your way through as fast as possible because, again, you can't save anything from momentum. Momentum's not going to help you. So what you want to do is stay on that obstacle as little time as possible. So arms bent and just as fast as you can. That said, there is every now and again when they do the monkey bars, again, especially on like the beasts and the ultras, they will, as you saw in the video I put before, that was actually from Pomerton from who knows what year. And yeah, I've already forgotten which year that one was. But a lot of the beasts and ultras, they'll change the variation of how close or far these bars are from each other. They'll change the heights on them. But as you can see from this, it's still going to wind up being the same.
Now we're up to the monkey bar.
I think this might also be Pomerton. But you can see here the bars are now varying distance. But the same general rule is going to apply for this. As you're always using momentum, I'm steadying myself between each one so I can then reset momentum to kind of fall again. And you can still do the same nice and easy all the way through.
Yeah, it goes down that way, and then the sandbag carries on.
And then is at the end?
You got from here. You got about 1.25 miles.
and that's how I make it through those guys with using as little energy as possible. And again, that's why the dead hangs are going to be our friend on this. That said, as for part 2 of this session, well, I got thrown a little bit of a curveball starting last week, in that 10 years ago, actually 10 years ago as of next month, I went and I broke my shoulder in a cycling accident, where I now have about twice as much bone right in here as a normal person should have in this area, which I guess makes us super strong now as it healed together. However, if I stay in a static position for a long time, or at least for years and years and years, if I stay like in a static kind of running position like this, static hiking kind of walking through, if I stayed on like a flat handle bike for anywhere from like an hour 20 to 2 hours from bad day to good day, at that point I'll start getting like a tingling and then kind of a numbness going in the arm. It'll start building up a pressure, then ultimately it'll start really kind of constricting the blood flow, not just through the arm but through my entire body. I guess it must be like right on one of those pressure points, and it becomes very, you think it starts out numb, but it becomes very painful after a while. And then I've had issues of like feeling like I could pass out before this, that, or the other, but all of a sudden it's been doing that for about 8 years worth of time. And then all of a sudden last year the problem went away, which was great. I was doing half marathon runs. I was doing like 2-hour practices, 220-hour practices, whatever. I was doing fine, didn't feel anything. All of a sudden got to the 10-mile run last week, and at that hour 20 mark, problem here again. I did the 14-mile run yesterday, which was great. Got that thing done. Again, it was at that hour 20 mark I started feeling something in there, and it wound up being a 2-hour run. And yeah, those last 40 minutes were terrible. I can kind of massage it as I go, but it gets worse and worse as the thing goes on, and I'm not sure I can do, say, the 16-mile run that I want to do in 2 weeks. All of a sudden, we're back kind of to square one on my shoulder. So, yeah, I think going forward, I'm going to change up my distance schedule. In 2 weeks was going to be 16 miles, 2 weeks after that was going to be 18, and 2 weeks after that was going to be my big one of 20. So I think from here going forward, I'm going to switch over to biking on these distance workouts, which would mean that in 2 weeks, rather than do a 16-mile run, I would do a 48-mile bike, because I found energy-wise for me, it seems to be around every 3 miles of biking equals approximately 1 mile of running. It just works for math that way, and it kind of does fine on that. However, if you've guessed, it's been like 20, 25 degrees most of this winter outside. We're finally got ourselves above freezing, which is great. But I haven't been on the bike at all, and I'm not about to hop on there and just do a 50-mile ride off the bat. So I think I'm going to scale back my distance workouts rather than do in 2 weeks, do that 48-mile ride or that 16-mile run. I think I'm going to push that back to in 3 weeks. I'll do that. That'll give me, I know we have all this snow junk coming in again right now. We get above freezing for most of the week again. The roads and stuff should be clear. So next weekend, I'll start getting on the bike. I'll then do the weekend after. I'll get another bike ride in, just kind of get my legs a little used to it. And so in 3 weeks from now, I'll do that like 48, 50-mile ride. And then 3 weeks after that, I'll go and do like that 60-mile ride. And that'll be my big one before the end. So I'm just going to scale back. I'm not going to do the 3 more big distance runs. I'm going to scale it back to 2 and give myself time to get used to the bike ride so that I can actually not destroy my legs on that in the process of trying to actually get stronger as we go. Because that's a problem. Other problem I ran into with yesterday's workout, which I didn't think of, but in retrospect, it's like, yeah, duh, is usually the first warm day of the year. Typically, usually it's a day in like April. We always get like that random like 80, 90 degree day. Every April, it's like this always comes in, and the body just freaks. Or at least mine does that first day we hit that nice warm temperature, and it just doesn't know what to do. It just like completely falls apart. It burns through everything. I lose a craggy ton of weight, and I just feel miserable the next day, like that night, next day kind of afterwards. Well, yesterday it was like 50 degrees when I did this 14-mile run, And I guess my body's been super used to like these 25 to 30 degree days that now that we jumped up like 20, 25 degrees above what I'm used to doing, I dropped about 4.5 pounds below what I weighed 2 days ago when I went for my normal kind of weekday run. And my body wasn't too happy about that either. So I just had all sorts of problems yesterday. So I was like dehydrated all night. I'm supposed to be recording this thing last night. This is actually going live on my watch. It's going to go live in about 2 hours because I was not in the mood to do anything last night in terms of recording stuff. I had headache, dehydration headache, whole 9 yards. My body freaked yesterday. So as we go forward, it's going to be really, really important to look at the calendar and look at not the calendar, but the weather forecast going forward and just kind of see if we have any spikes in temperature coming up, to be aware of those. And in like the week leading up to it, maybe start hydrating a little bit more. It might be helpful. I've never had my body do this on a 50-degree day. It's always been like 60, 70, 80 kind of degree random day that comes in. So this was a new low for me to hit that on. But yeah, it's going to be super important now to stay hydrated going forward. Make sure we're eating enough going forward, not just the day before, but like the week before. So just kind of keep an eye on that weather forecast. Because yeah, the first day it gets weird, and the first day the temperature changes, sometimes the body just has no idea what it wants to do, and it becomes a miserable time after. I was fine during the run, but it was miserable after. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that going forward. That said, this week the goal is now I did one more session of the lunges this past week. I got up to 200 lunges, so I'm about halfway to my goal for the end of next month. I want to get up to about 400 by the end, so I got up to 200. So this week, because there's no distance run after that, I'm going to try to get 2 in. We'll see how the snow and all that kind of stuff impacts this. But the goal is get 2 more of those this week. And then next week, if I don't have the quote-unquote big distance, I may go and just do another 2 lunge sessions at the end of the runs on that during the weekdays. Or I may keep up the 2 one week, 1 the next, 2 1 week, 1 the next, and do that. The upper body, lower body strength stuff, I'm not really changing. That just is what it is. But the lunge one is now really the super important for these hills. That's really just going to build up the glutes and kind of get you ready to go up these hills with as little effort and as little problems as possible. So I really do want to push those things as we go forward. But that's about where we stand right now. Again, weather is going to be weird as this is being recorded. If you're living on the East Coast, and that like I-95 kind of corridor-ish area, weather's going to be weird and again bad for these first couple days. But it looks like this one's going to disappear pretty quick. We get above freezing within like a couple days, and stuff should start melting again relatively quickly after that, even if we have a lot of volume of stuff to go through. But that's where we are. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of an abridged. I wish I was able to give better demonstrations on the overhead stuff and not just kind of have to talk about it. But it is what it is. Times have changed. Playground equipment has changed. I'm getting older now. Again, that would have been like 30 years ago when I would have been on those things before. So things have changed in that time. It just is what it is, I guess. But I hope that helps. And next week we'll see what it brings. It'd be nice to do something outside, but we'll see where we get to at that point. But that's it. And until then, enjoy.